From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Jenkins, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 Podcast for Tuesday, February 27th. We begin with news out of Fort Wayne. The city's mayor says he has late-stage stomach cancer. Mayor Tom Henry shared the diagnosis yesterday. He says the cancer is spreading through his body and the prognosis from doctors is not encouraging. Henry begins chemotherapy next week. Last month, the mayor's wife, Cindy Henry, died of pancreatic cancer. Staying in Fort Wayne, police say a juvenile is under arrest and a woman and a second juvenile are in the hospital after a police chase led to a crash. Police say the chase began just before 8 last night. They say a vehicle was driving recklessly. The suspect's car crashed into another vehicle on Broadway. Fort Wayne police say both victims were taken to a hospital, but their injuries are not life-threatening. State lawmakers are trying to stop Chinese companies from buying more land in Indiana. The USDA says companies with ties to China already own 618 acres of land in the state. That's only about 1 square mile out of the 35,000 that make up Indiana. But some lawmakers say China could buy more land to spy on the state or to impact our food supply. A bill banning countries labeled as foreign adversaries from buying land in Indiana has already unanimously passed the House. And yesterday, a Senate committee amended the bill to bar them from buying land within 50 miles of a military base.
I think it's really important to think about this, how irresponsible it is to allow a foreign adversary to own land in your country, especially land that's used for agriculture, which jeopardizes your food security, or in proximity to military installations, which allows espionage to occur.
The ACLU of Indiana opposes the bill. They say it is too broad and unfairly targets foreign nationals. President Biden says there is hope for a ceasefire in Gaza as people there start to run out of food. The president said yesterday that he hopes a ceasefire and a deal to release some of the Israeli hostages being held by Hamas can be reached by next week.
My national security advisor tells me that we're close. We're close. It's not done yet. And my hope is by next Monday we'll have a ceasefire.
Negotiations for a 6-week ceasefire between Israel and Hamas have been long underway. It would allow Hamas to release hostages in Gaza in exchange for Israel releasing hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. The pause in fighting would also let humanitarian aid trucks into Gaza to deliver food and other supplies. The presidential primaries begin in Michigan today. It's the last major race before Super Tuesday. Former President Donald Trump is looking for another Republican primary win, this after beating Nikki Haley in her home state of South Carolina over the weekend. President Biden faces a different kind of opposition in Michigan. A group is urging Democrats to pick uncommitted on the ballot in protest of how Biden has handled the conflict between Israel and Hamas. The results for the swing state could indicate how voters are leaning up to the election later this year. Back here in Indiana, more than half of Center Township's deputy constables who were fired last week are now back on the job. Center Township Constable Denise Paul Hatch reinstated 22 of them yesterday. She fired 40 of them last week after the arrest of one deputy constable for having a gun as a felon. Hatch says the other 18 still need to pass background checks before they can return. When it comes to the weather, we've had a very lucky streak of warm, beautiful days, but the storm team says this good streak will come to an end. The warm weather will continue today, possibly taking us to more record highs, but there's a chance for some storms. Tara Hastings has your News 8 Daily 8 forecast.
We are going to look for a few very light spotty showers out there this morning. We had a few in southern sections of Indiana, and right now a few radar returns right around the Bloomington area. Other than that, we'll go with a mostly cloudy sky, a breezy and warm day today. We're going to see those temperatures quickly climb into the lower 70s later this afternoon. A few isolated showers will be possible, especially later this evening. Record high today, 73 degrees, set back in 1996. We're going to see the chance for some showers and thunderstorms later on this evening, and especially during the first part of the overnight hours. Some of those could be on the stronger side. We'll talk about when those thunderstorms move through and what we can expect for your Wednesday as well, all in my detailed forecast.
To get a peek at the full forecast, just head over to wishtv.com, or you can download the Wish TV Storm Track 8 app. Just 2 weeks after NBA All-Star Weekend, Indianapolis is ready for some football. Yes, again. Starting Thursday, the NFL Combine will take over downtown. News 8's Hernan Gutierrez has more from Lucas Oil Stadium on what Visit Indy is saying about the event.
The NFL Combine returns to the Circle City for the 37th year in a row, and Visit Indy expects a $10 million economic boost from the event. The tourism group also predicts 40,000 people will visit the city over the course of the 4 days that the event will go on, spending money at hotels, local restaurants, and other local shops. The Combine is where NFL prospects work out in front of coaches and front office executives with the hope of improving their chances in the upcoming NFL draft. Also returning this year is the Combine Experience. You can take part in some of the same tests the prospects will face themselves, like the 40-yard dash and vertical jump. You can also win tickets to this year's draft in Detroit or next year's Super Bowl in New Orleans. Claire Clark with Visit Indy says year after year, the Combine brings exposure to local businesses.
But this is what the city gets jazzed up about. We're excited to welcome not only residents, but visitors to Indianapolis for maybe the first time for some of those key events that we host. And the Combine's one that's been consistent in the city, and we're happy to have the NFL back into Indianapolis.
The Combine is set to return for next year, 2025. Now, it is free to get into the fan experience and the Combine itself, but you will need to register and download the NFL One Pass app in order to reserve your spots. All of the action starts at Lucas Oil Thursday at 1 in the afternoon. Reporting downtown, I'm Hernan Gutierrez for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
This has been your News 8 Daily 8 podcast. I'm Jeremy Jenkins for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.